Hey everyone, I'm going to demonstrate resolution and in particular resolution for print and photographs. You typically want about 300 pixels per inch, although some people say 220 is acceptable. It just depends on the quality of your printer, but we're going to shoot for 300 for good measure on this assignment. I have Indesign open here, and I'm going to place a photo by going File Place or Command D. And I have this picture of my cat. This is Dr. Cat. Right, and there it is, and it looks pretty good. It's about the right size for something like a brochure, even though I don't have my document set up for a brochure right now. But anyway, it's looking good. But I do need to make sure that it is 300 pixels per inch. So what I want to do is check that in Photoshop. And I know we haven't used Photoshop yet very much, but this is one of the first things we are going to learn how to do is check the size and resolution of an image. So I'm going to control click or right click on the image itself and go to Edit with Photoshop. And it opens up really seamlessly. And then I want to go to, I want to go to Image and Image Size. And kind of ignore how big it shows up here because you never know if it's at, what kind of preview percentage it's at. So if it looks big or if it looks small, don't worry about that yet. We want to go to Image Size to get the true size. And it is about the size that it appeared to be on InDesign, 6 inches by 4.5 inches, which is good, but it's only 72 pixels per inch. Now here's the big rule that I want everybody to learn for now is that it's never okay to take a small image in terms of resolution, I should say, so 72, and attempt to make it larger by resampling. So resampling is the process whereby Photoshop says, oh, you need this image bigger, let me go ahead and just add a bunch of pixels in there for you. But they're basically artificial pixels. It's literally just putting pixels in there. It does nothing to make the quality of the image any better. Okay, so I can do that, but it doesn't look any better. And quite frankly, it does not look very good in InDesign right now. If I zoomed in or if I printed it, I would see it's pretty pixelated. So here's the wrong way to do it, okay, is by having resampling checked off, changing this to 300, and saying okay. And yes, it is 300 pixels per inch, which is what I'm asking everybody to do for print photographs. But look, it looks terrible. It is a poor quality image because Photoshop is no good at adding in those pixels. So I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to show you the right way to do it, but also show you some of the challenges with doing it some of the challenges and consequences of this. So again, I'm going to go to Image and Image Size. I'm going to uncheck resampling. Resampling is basically evil. It's only okay if you're trying to downsize. Do not resample to add size or add resolution. So I unchecked it, and now I'm going to change it to 300, but watch carefully right now what happens to the width and the height. This image just got a whole lot smaller. Okay, and you can't see anything happening again here with Photoshop. I'm going to save this. Okay, and I'm going to just replace this into InDesign now because it didn't show up in real time for me. and you can see it's very, very small. Why does that happen? Well, because if you want a certain number of pixels per inch, there are only two ways that you can make that happen, have more pixels per inch. So picture an inch of a piece of paper, and a 1 by 1 inch, and you have 72 and you want 300. Well, you can have Photoshop just add them in. That works okay, except the picture quality is literally exactly the same, just a bigger file size. Or you can compress the image, make it smaller so that, again, more of those pixels are per inch. And I have a little illustration that might help you comprehend this, because it is a bit hard to explain. So here we have an image with 72 pixels per inch, and we want it to be a 300 pixel per inch image. Well, I can take the 72 pixel per inch image and resample it by checking off resample and adding in a whole bunch of pixels. And it's okay, but look, Photoshop does a bad job, and actually I didn't exaggerate that as much as I should have. The point being, it looks crummy. Don't do this. The correct way to do it is what I just did, which is to take these 72 pixels and squish them in further so that we can fit more into this inch. But yes, what happens is it does get smaller. We're compressing those pixels. So what is the moral of this story? The moral of the story is that you need to start out with a really nice big photograph, because if you need to change it from 72 pixels per inch to 300 pixels per inch, and you might need to do that with Photoshop, not by resampling, of course. You need to have a nice big image because it will get smaller when you do this in Photoshop. So in my case, with my picture of my cat, I just have to say I cannot use this picture. It's not high enough quality for print. I have to go and find a new picture. And on the web, a lot of the images are going to be really poor resolution, so just be aware of that. Only use really, really large pictures, and I am going to be checking your file to make sure that your images are 300 pixels per inch and that they have not been resampled. Okay, that's it for now. I'm going to do another video at some point about resizing images in InDesign and why that's not a good idea. You want to do that in Photoshop, not in InDesign. But more on that later. So hopefully that was a manageable length video and makes some sense.